Hey guys, welcome to today's video. So we have another really highly requested video today, and that is a brow tutorial. So I love like a very quick, natural, and easy brow. So if that's what you're looking for, then look no further because you have found the right tutorial. But before we go ahead and get into the footage, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, join the family, and don't forget to turn on that post notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future uploads. Don't forget to like and leave a comment down below if you did enjoy this video. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. As you guys can see, I already have the rest of my makeup done. So it's funny that this was such a highly requested video because I feel like I don't do anything like out of the ordinary, but the two products that I definitely need are, number one, a brow pencil. They have a couple of different kinds, like whether it's like these skinny little precise little brow thingies, or they have like brow definers where it's like in that like triangle shape. If you guys can, I feel like I'm doing a terrible job at this. If you guys can kind of see, it's like more of like a weird, I don't even know like how to describe this shape, but it's thicker. So the two brow products that I have in front of me are the Anastasia brow definer, and I have the shade dark brown, and then the NYX micro brow, I have the shade ash brown. To be honest, I like the color better on this one. This one is a little bit quicker to do your brows with just because it's the one that has that like wider shape, so naturally it's just faster to do your brows. Honestly, either are fine. This is half the price of this, and to be honest, NYX makes a version of this too, so just go ahead and buy the NYX. I love NYX so much, especially their brow products. And the second thing that I always need is brow gel. So I am not that picky, honestly, when it comes to brow products. The one thing though that I truly will never use are brow pomades, and that's because I just like, I go heavy-handed with them. It doesn't end up looking good. It ends up looking very like harsh and very unnatural. And another thing is they dry out pretty quickly too, which is kind of annoying. So for me, I find that it's easier for me to use like these brow products. So I guess I'll do one on one side and one on the other, because I mean, it really doesn't matter. But the first thing I always do is go in with a spoolie. And if you're not familiar with what that means, it's like these little like brush head thingies that you find on a lot of the ends of these brow products. If you buy like those huge makeup brush kits, oftentimes you'll see like a random brush with one of these. Always keep those because I always use them for my brows. So the first thing I'll do is I will brush my brows up and in the direction that I want them to be. And once I do that, I will usually like, okay, so I wouldn't just like go out like this, right? So especially if you have like very full like and longer haired brows, I recommend just like going towards the end and just kind of taming them down, just tapering down so they're truly not like straight up. I mean, if you like that look, that's fine, but I tend to save that for like the front of the brow to make that area look more full. Now that we have brushed the brows up, I'm going to take the actual little brow product and I'm going to trace underneath my brow and kind of shape how I want it to look. So for me, I'm going to start to kind of brush underneath, and I'm doing this with a very light hand because I never want to go too intense. Again, if you're wearing a full face of makeup, like yes, you can probably go a little bit more heavy-handed, but today we definitely have more of like a natural look going on. So I'm just going to trace the natural shape of my brow, and I like doing this a lot also because I don't know if you probably can't see from this far, but I have a ton of hair just because I haven't done my eyebrows in so long. So it helps kind of redefine what your shape is, especially if your hairs are growing out. So once we have that line down, I will very slightly and very lightly do the same thing at the top of the brow. And the reason I do this is because I naturally don't have as much hair when it comes to my arch. If you do, you definitely don't need to do this, but I do this just to accentuate the arch of my brow, how I like it to look. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, once we've gotten to this part, I don't like fill in my brow. Like I leave it like this, but I start to do little flicking motions. Like I'm literally just like drawing in random hairs. And it's okay if you have like a couple like more sparse areas, because that's honestly just gonna look even more natural. So I'm just going to flick the product through. And when we get to the front of the brow, notice when we carved underneath, you can see the front of my brow is still like very, very light compared to the rest. I wanna leave it that way because I don't wanna have like very stark, harsh eyebrows starting right from the beginning. I like a more softer look in the front. So once we get to the front, I will lightly start to just flick upwards and draw like very soft little hairs in the front. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side with this brow product. And the only difference with this is that, again, the shape is a little bit different, so you can kind of hold it a little bit differently. So for me, like, I kind of hold it on its side to get that more harsh, I guess. It's really hard to explain this, but I will take the flat side to kind of draw out, and then I'll use the other side of it because it's wider to kind of fill in and create those hairs. So again, I'm just gonna do the same thing on this side. Go underneath the brow, and again, as you can see, I'm starting from about right here. I still have all this brow area in the front that I'm just leaving blank. And so I'm going to go ahead and go underneath and define my shape. And also, something to note is that our eyebrows aren't the same. They are cousins, not sisters. So it's okay for them to look a little bit different. I mean, like, it's natural, normal for them to be like a little bit different in shape. I usually try to even them out as best I can by doing this. So now that we've done the same thing on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and use the very tip of this brow product because it's just very pointy, and I'm gonna use that little edge to create those little hair flicks upwards. So as you can see, this side was a lot quicker just because this is a just wider brow product in general. If you don't have the thickest brows, I would probably recommend going in with something a little bit smaller, like the micro brow pencil, only because you can be a little bit more precise with it. It's harder to imitate faux brow hairs with this, especially if your brows are not the thickest to begin with. So now that we have accomplished this, this is probably the most important step, and that is to go in with the spoolie. So I'm going to go over literally and brush through all that work we did on the eyebrow. And if you can tell, you can kind of see the line and the shape that we created, like very harsh, right? But once you brush it out, it just slightly softens all of that brow product. So then it really starts to look like our brows are actually full rather than us going in and drawing in those lines. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And I'm brushing them in the exact same direction and method that we did when we first started. And that is brushing upwards and outwards. And again, I'm still going to take the tail end of my spoolie and just lay those hairs down here down. There we go. So as you can see, like I had mentioned, it's a little less harsh and blocky. Does that make sense? So the last step for brows, and again, this is also between the spoolie and this last product, these are the two most important brows. Like for me, if I have this product and a spoolie, like I don't necessarily need the brow product. I would like it, but if I had to choose, I'd probably choose brow gel. I have two different options here. Again, for me, I find that it doesn't really matter all that much. NYX makes a really great clear brow gel, and theirs is like $5. But this is the Glossier Boy Brow. It's just like it's not really like a gel. It's more like a waxy pomade thing, and it's kind of white, if you can see. I don't love this one. A ton of people do, but and then I have a fan favorite, which is the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. And I will take this brow gel, and again, in no particular rhyme or reason, just going to brush it into my brows just like we did the other side with the spoolie and with the spoolie. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use this on both brows. I don't really love the Glossier product. It's cool, but I don't really like dealing with something that's white. I'd rather something that's clear so I don't have to worry. But if you can see, this looks way less harsh. It truly, truly mimics the look of brow hairs. What I like to say is, like, you create the faux brow hairs with this, right? But you can tell. Once you set it in place with the brow gel, it adds like this texture to the hairs, and it truly makes it look like it's your actual brow. But guys, as you can see, This is it. I don't do anything crazy. A lot of people will go in and start to carve out their brows with concealer to make them look a little bit more precise, especially if you're doing like a full glam makeup look. I usually tend to just leave my brows like this because I find that that look is a little bit too much for me, but again, it's all personal preference. But if you guys did like this video, give it a huge thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.